The vast darkness of space stretched out before the alien warships, their metallic hulls gleaming with a cold, calculated precision. Commander Vrel stood on the bridge of the flagship, his multiple eyes scanning the holographic displays that showed the approaching human colony systems. For centuries, the Zarkon Imperium had conquered countless civilizations. Their technological superiority was unquestioned, their military might unmatched. These humans were just another primitive species waiting to be absorbed or eliminated. Lieutenant Kara, Vrel's second-in-command, brought up the initial reconnaissance data. The human settlements looked almost laughably unprotected. Simple structures dotted planetoid surfaces, with what appeared to be rudimentary defensive systems. Vrel's mandibles clicked with anticipation. "Prepare standard pacification protocols," he ordered, his voice a low, resonant hum that vibrated through the ship's communication systems. Captain J. Park sat in the Earth Defense Command Center, watching the incoming alien fleet with a calm that surprised his junior officers. His fingers moved quietly across holographic interfaces, tracking each alien vessel's movement with precise calculation. Lieutenant Hyun Choi, the youngest tactical officer in the room, leaned closer to Park. "They don't know what's coming, do they, sir?" he whispered. Park's smile was subtle. "No. They absolutely do not." The alien fleet approached with the confidence of a predator certain of its hunt. Massive ships that could obliterate entire planetary systems moved in perfect synchronized formation. Each vessel carried weapons that could crack planetary crusts, technology that had subjugated hundreds of civilizations. But something was different about this approach. The human systems showed no panic. No frantic communications. No desperate attempts at negotiation or escape. Just silence. And preparation. Commander Vrel received the standard communication protocols. A simple message would be sent, demanding immediate surrender. It was a formality the Zarkon Imperium always performed, a psychological tactic that had worked for millennia. "Attention human colonies, the transmission began, your civilization is now under Zarkon control. Prepare for immediate integration or face complete elimination." In the Earth Defense Command, Captain Park's fingers never stopped moving. Systems that appeared dormant began to pulse with hidden energy. Defensive networks, carefully constructed over decades, started to awaken. The alien fleet was close now. Close enough to see the detailed surface of human colonies. Close enough to launch their initial strike packages. Close enough to believe victory was already theirs. Lieutenant Kara noticed something odd in the sensor readings. Slight energy fluctuations that didn't match any known human technology. But before she could alert Commander Vrel, the first phase of humanity's response began. What looked like simple communication relays suddenly transformed. Orbital platforms that seemed like basic communication structures revealed themselves as complex defensive systems. Weapons that had been perfectly camouflaged against planetary backgrounds powered up with surgical precision. Commander Vrel's confidence began to waver. Tactical assessment, he demanded of his bridge crew. The reports came back confused. Human defensive capabilities were significantly higher than initial intelligence suggested. Something was very wrong with their reconnaissance data. Captain Park watched the alien fleet's formation. He knew exactly what was happening. Years of preparation, decades of technological development, and a human spirit that refused to be underestimated were about to be demonstrated. "Activate defensive grid," he said quietly. The first alien missiles never reached their targets. The first wave of attack ships found themselves caught in unexpected energy fields. The perfect alien formation began to break. And Captain J. Park allowed himself a small smile. The hunt was about to become very interesting. Humanity was ready. The aliens were not. The defense complex hummed with quiet energy. Admiral Elena Kim studied the massive screens displaying global defensive networks. These weren't just ordinary systems, they were decades of carefully hidden technological development. Years before the alien threat emerged, humanity had been preparing. Not through massive military buildups or obvious technological displays, but through subtle, intelligent planning. Every major government, every scientific institution, had contributed pieces to a complex puzzle. Space research centers that appeared to study planetary exploration were actually developing advanced defensive technologies. Universities conducting seemingly pure research programs were testing quantum communication systems that could not be intercepted by traditional means. Private technology companies developed adaptive AI systems that could predict and counter potential alien attack strategies. Elena remembered the secret meetings. Brilliant minds from around the world, discussing potential extraterrestrial threats. They understood one fundamental truth: humanity's greatest weapon was not technology, but adaptability. The global defense network looked simple on the surface. Satellite arrays that seemed ordinary. Communication towers that appeared standard. Underground facilities that looked like standard research centers. But each was a carefully designed piece of a complex defensive strategy. Lieutenant Hyun Choi worked on the adaptive algorithm systems. These weren't just computer programs, they were learning machines capable of instantaneous tactical adjustments. They could analyze potential alien attack patterns faster than any human could think. Our strength is unpredictability, Choi often told his team. We don't fight like machines. We think. We adapt. The defense systems were designed with multiple layers. If one layer failed, another would activate. Quantum encryption protected communication channels. Adaptive AI could redirect entire defensive networks within milliseconds. Weapons systems that looked primitive could transform rapidly. Captain J. Park had overseen much of this preparation. He understood that humanity's survival depended on being underestimated. Every technological advancement was hidden. Every defensive capability was carefully concealed. Advanced materials developed in secret could withstand intense energy attacks. Stealth technologies made human vessels appear far less capable than they actually were. Communication systems could transmit complex strategic information through seemingly innocent data streams. The global preparation wasn't just technological. Psychological training programs prepared military and civilian populations for potential alien contact. People were taught to remain calm, to think strategically, to view potential threats as challenges to be solved. Space exploration programs had been gathering intelligence for decades. Every mission, every satellite launch, every deep space probe collected information. Humanity was building a comprehensive understanding of potential extraterrestrial technologies. Military training had transformed. Soldiers were no longer just trained to follow orders. They were trained to think independently, to make rapid decisions, to use creativity as a weapon. Special units developed strategies that went beyond traditional military thinking. Artificial intelligence systems studied potential alien communication patterns. They developed translation algorithms, psychological analysis tools, and predictive engagement models. These weren't just defensive tools, they were comprehensive understanding mechanisms. The defense network was global and unified. No single nation controlled the entire system. It was a collective human effort, with each country contributing unique technological and strategic insights. When the alien fleet approached, they would find not a vulnerable civilization, but a carefully prepared defensive ecosystem. Every apparent weakness was actually a potential strength. Every seemingly simple system contained multiple layers of complex technology. Humanity had been waiting. Watching. Preparing. The aliens thought they were coming to conquer a primitive species. They were about to discover how wrong they were. Admiral Elena Kim allowed herself a small smile. The real game was about to begin. The first alien missiles cut through space like silver blades, expecting total destruction. Commander Vrel watched his tactical screens, confident in the Zarkon Imperium's unbeatable technology. Lieutenant Hyun Choi tracked every incoming projectile with calm precision. His fingers moved across quantum interface screens, each movement calculating multiple response scenarios in microseconds. The human defensive systems weren't just waiting, they were anticipating. The initial alien attack wave looked overwhelming. Hundreds of warships, each capable of destroying entire planetary infrastructures, approached with mathematical precision. Their energy signatures blazed with destructive potential, weapons designed to crush civilizations in moments. But something was different about this engagement. Human vessels that appeared old and slow suddenly demonstrated impossible maneuverability. What looked like standard communication satellites transformed into defensive platforms. Orbital networks that seemed simple became complex weapon grids. Commander Vrel's confidence started cracking. The human response was unexpected. Each alien missile found itself redirected. Not destroyed, but carefully guided away from critical infrastructure. It was almost like the humans were playing with the alien weapons, treating massive destructive projectiles like children's toys. Captain J. Park watched the engagement with a strange calm. His team moved with synchronized efficiency, treating the alien assault like a complex mathematical problem to be solved. "Redirect Vector 7 Alpha," he said quietly. An entire squadron of alien attack ships suddenly found themselves caught in unexpected gravitational fields. Their perfect formation dissolved, ships colliding and spinning in confusion. The psychological warfare was deliberate. Humans weren't just defending, they were demonstrating their capability to control the entire battlefield. Alien communication channels became flooded with complex mathematical challenges. Strange signals that disrupted their targeting systems. Music transmissions that confused their computational networks. Each transmission was a weapon, designed to break alien operational consistency. Lieutenant Kara, Vrel's second-in-command, reported increasing system disruptions. Their supposedly impenetrable communication networks were being systematically compromised. "They're not just defending," she said, her voice carrying a hint of unexpected respect. "They're analyzing us." The human response was fluid, adaptive. Where alien technology followed strict protocols, human systems learned and adjusted in real time. An alien weapon would be encountered, studied, and a counter-strategy developed within moments. Defensive platforms that looked like simple communication towers revealed complex energy projection capabilities. Vessels that appeared antiquated demonstrated acceleration rates that defied known physical limitations. Commander Vrel realized something terrifying: the humans were enjoying this engagement. Every alien tactical move was being watched, studied, and turned into an opportunity. The humans weren't just surviving, they were thoroughly examining the Zarkon technological approach, gathering intelligence with each passing moment. Quantum communication networks allowed human forces to share tactical information instantaneously. What seemed like isolated defensive actions were actually part of a massive, coordinated global response. The initial assault wasn't just being repelled. It was being systematically dismantled, with a precision that bordered on playful. Captain Park's voice remained calm throughout the entire engagement. No panic. No fear. Just calculated, precise responses. "Maintain defensive formation," he instructed. "Let them understand." As alien ships spun confused and disrupted, human vessels moved with a grace that seemed to mock the invaders' technological superiority. Each movement was a statement: "We are not your typical prey." Commander Vrel watched in growing frustration as his supposedly unstoppable fleet found itself systematically neutralized. Not destroyed. Not defeated in a traditional sense. Simply managed. The message was clear: humanity was not just surviving. They were demonstrating that they were something entirely unexpected. And the engagement had only just begun. The counteroffensive began with a silence that felt more threatening than any weapon. Captain J. Park watched the tactical displays, his team moving with calculated precision that bordered on art. Captured alien technology integrated seamlessly into human systems. What looked like standard cargo vessels suddenly transformed into complex weapon platforms. Each ship became a chameleon of technological adaptation, blending capabilities in ways the Zarkon Imperium could never predict. Lieutenant Hyun Choi's adaptive algorithms worked their magic. Systems that were moments ago defensive now became aggressive, striking with surgical precision. The aliens had introduced their technology to humanity, and humanity was learning faster than anyone could imagine. Commander Vrel watched in growing horror as human vessels began using Zarkon weapon signatures against their own fleet. It was like watching a child not just learn a new language, but rewrite its entire grammatical structure in moments. Communication channels became weapons. Mathematical challenges mixed with cultural references created psychological disruptions that made alien tactical systems malfunction. One moment, a transmission would contain complex quantum calculations. The next, it would broadcast Earth music or historical documentaries that completely confused alien targeting systems. The human approach was beautifully unpredictable. Where alien technology followed strict protocols, human systems danced between rules, creating strategies that defied conventional warfare. Advanced materials captured from alien ships were rapidly analyzed and integrated. Quantum encryption methods were broken down and rebuilt with human creativity. What should have taken decades of research was accomplished in hours. Admiral Elena Kim coordinated the global response. Every nation, every research center, every technological resource was now part of a unified system. The counteroffensive wasn't just a military operation, it was a global human effort. Alien weapon signatures that once seemed invincible now became tools in human hands. Energy projection systems were reverse engineered, defensive technologies were adapted, communication networks were systematically infiltrated. They're learning too quickly, Lieutenant Kara reported to Commander Vrel, her voice carrying a tone of disbelief. The humans weren't just defending anymore. They were actively dismantling the Zarkon technological approach. Entire alien communication networks found themselves compromised. Strategic information flows were redirected, tactical systems were confused, and the perfect alien military machine began to show unexpected vulnerabilities. Human vessels moved with a combination of mathematical precision and creative unpredictability. They didn't just fight, they performed. Each movement was a statement, each tactical decision a demonstration of human adaptability. Captured alien technology became something entirely new in human hands. Weapons were not just copied but reimagined. Defensive systems were not just studied but completely transformed. The counteroffensive revealed humanity's true strength. It wasn't about having the most advanced technology. It was about the ability to learn, adapt, and create faster than any known civilization. Captain Park's strategy was simple yet revolutionary. Don't just fight the enemy, understand them. Learn from them. Turn their strengths into vulnerabilities. Alien commanders watched in growing frustration as their supposedly superior technology was systematically dismantled. Human forces weren't just defending their territory, they were expanding their understanding of warfare, technology, and strategic thinking. Communication channels became battlegrounds of intelligence. Complex algorithms mixed with cultural references created psychological warfare that the aliens couldn't comprehend. One moment, a transmission would contain advanced mathematical challenges. The next, it would broadcast Earth's musical history or philosophical debates. The Zarkon Imperium had come expecting a simple conquest. They were discovering something entirely unexpected. Humanity wasn't just fighting back. They were rewriting the entire concept of conflict. And they were enjoying every moment of it. The final confrontation wasn't about firepower. It was about understanding. Commander Vrel watched his fleet disintegrate not through destruction, but through complete technological dissolution. Human systems had done more than defeat the Zarkon Imperium, they had systematically unraveled their entire military philosophy. Captain J. Park stood on the command bridge, his hands moving across quantum interfaces with a calm that seemed almost casual. Each movement was a strategic decision, each command a complex mathematical equation solved in milliseconds. The alien fleet found itself trapped in a web of its own technology. Human forces had not just learned their systems, they had reimagined them. Weapon signatures were redirected. Communication networks were transformed. Defensive protocols were systematically dismantled. Lieutenant Hyun Choi's adaptive algorithms had become something beyond mere computer programming. They were living systems that learned and evolved faster than any artificial intelligence the aliens had ever encountered. Entire alien warships became confused. Their targeting systems saw human vessels everywhere and nowhere. Communication channels broadcast complex mathematical challenges that broke down their computational networks. What seemed like random transmissions were actually sophisticated psychological warfare. Admiral Elena Kim coordinated the global human response. Every research center, every technological resource was now part of a unified strategy. The counteroffensive wasn't just a military operation, it was a demonstration of human potential. The Zarkon commanders watched in growing desperation as their perfectly designed military machine fell apart. Not through brute force, but through a kind of intellectual deconstruction that they couldn't comprehend. Human vessels moved with a combination of mathematical precision and creative unpredictability. They didn't just fight, they performed. Each tactical decision was a statement about human adaptability. Commander Vrel realized something terrifying in those final moments. Humanity wasn't just defending. They were expanding their understanding of conflict, technology, and strategic thinking with each passing second. The communication transmission from Captain Park was brutally simple: your technology is now ours. Your strategy is obsolete. Captured alien systems were transformed. Weapons were not just copied but completely reimagined. Defensive technologies were studied, understood, and then rebuilt with human creativity. The final assault wasn't about destruction. It was about demonstration. Humanity showed the galaxy that technological superiority wasn't about having the most advanced weapons. It was about the ability to learn, adapt, and create faster than any known civilization. Alien warships found themselves redirected into carefully prepared traps. Communication networks collapsed. Weapon systems turned against their own creators. The perfect military machine became its own destruction mechanism. Lieutenant Kara, Vrel's second-in-command, watched in silent acknowledgement. The humans had done something unprecedented. They hadn't just defeated an invasion force. They had fundamentally changed the understanding of technological conflict. The final moments were almost anticlimactic. No massive explosions. No dramatic space battles. Just a systematic, almost clinical dismantling of an entire military civilization. As the last alien warship retreated, the message was clear. Humanity was not just a species to be conquered. They were a force to be understood. The galaxy watched. A new technological power had emerged. Captain J. Park allowed himself a small smile. The hunt was over. The lesson was delivered. Humanity had sent a message that would echo through interstellar space: underestimate us at your own risk. The counteroffensive was complete. The decisive moment had passed. And the universe would never be the same again.